I'm here with Chuck Collins with the Institute for Policy Studies. Thank you, Chuck, for giving a moment of your time. As we're recording this, we're ramping up for a vote in the Senate on what's called the Buffett rule, which would mean that taxpayers who are making more than $1 million or so would pay the same rate as the people who are working for those millionaires and billionaires. Well, what is this fight, first of all, really about? Why is this fight important?
Well, fundamentally, it's a fight about tax fairness. We have a sort of two-tier tax system, one for the 99% and one for the 1%. And under this current system, the higher your income and the more of your income that comes from wealth and investments, the lower your tax rate. So that's the fundamental issue, and it really was Warren Buffett who pointed out that he pays about 17% of his income in taxes, federal income taxes, but his coworkers are paying between 31 and 41% of their income. And he just said that's fundamentally unfair and wrong.
Well, a lot of the polls suggest that the public supports this. So why is this such a fierce fight?
Well, we're sort of in a transition. I think that the public's opinion is shifting on these issues of inequality and tax fairness, the events of the last year, the We Are the 99% movement, and our politicians in Washington haven't quite caught up to that. But the fact that the leaders in the Democratic Party are putting it forward is they understand that's where public opinion is at. But the fight over taxes is going to be a fierce fight in the coming year. But it's going to be a really defining issue, I think, going future. And in a way, the Buffett rule is symbolic. It moves us in the right direction, but it doesn't really raise as much revenue as it should. We would be better off if Congress just said income from work and income from investments, capital gains, and wealth should be taxed at the same rate, whether you're low income or high income. If you're very high income, if you're a millionaire, you should pay at a much higher rate. Capital gains shouldn't have the privileged status that it has.
In fact, actually, you point out one of the criticisms of the whole Buffett rule fight, which is that in many ways it doesn't do all that we need to do. I guess your perspective, though, that even though it doesn't do as much as it should, it's a fight worth having anyway.
Totally important fight, moves things in the right direction. A Buffett rule, raising $50 billion over the next 10 years is not no money. But there's rolling back the Bush tax cuts of 2001, 2003. Now we're talking real money, $800 billion over the next 10 years. Instituting a financial transaction tax, there's $100 billion a year. You put it all together, you begin to move the tax system back to where it should be, where the wealthy and a few thousand global corporations are paying their fair share.
And one of the things that I think is not being discussed as much as it should in this whole debate is that when you look at the world, look at the developed world, actually America is sort of a low tax country, not a high tax country as conservatives would have you believe.
Yeah, we have on the books some seem to be high tax rates. We have a statutory 35% corporate income tax rate. But the reality is there's so many loopholes, it's so porous that most corporations are paying far, far below that. So, and in terms of industrialized countries, the United States is very low tax. It's becoming one of the low tax countries, and it's obviously becoming one of the low quality of life countries in terms of mobility and infrastructure and all the things the investments that are required to have a healthy, functioning market and a society. So we're kind of disinvesting the Commonwealth, if you will.
Now, let me ask you about your new book, where you go through a lot of these issues. What's the point of the book that you're just put out?
Yeah, the book is called 99 to 1, How Wealth Inequality is Wrecking the World and What We Can Do About It. And it's basically a look at what's happened in the last 30 years. How did we become so unequal, tax policy being one part of that, and what we can do about it. And it also looks at who is the 1%, how much wealth do they have, how do they work and rig the rules of the economy to funnel more wealth to the 1%. So it's really, I think, a primer on the issues of inequality, but more important, sort of what's the program going forward.
What is the most important message that you want people to get out of that book that's particularly relevant to the debate that we're having in 2012?
Well, I think that this what's important is an analysis for first, which is the 1% has rigged the rules of the economy to funnel wealth and power to the 1%. And that's really a 30-year trend. And the good news, and part of the message of the book, is we can reverse this. It doesn't have to be this way. We can actually, over the next couple of years, make some important policy choices and begin to shift the values of this country and reverse these extreme inequalities that pretty much undermine everything we care about, whether it's health or democracy or the functioning of our economy. These extreme inequalities are bad for everybody. They're even bad for the 1%. So we can reverse this. It's completely in our grasp. We just have to change the conversation. And starting with things like advocating a Buffett rule is completely on track. It's educational, it's political, and it's good policy, and it's going to move things forward.
Well, Chuck, I really appreciate your time. Really good luck on that book, and look forward to all the work that you'll be doing now in the future.
Thanks, Isaiah. Good being with you.
All right.